As the Nationals made their first pretty big signing of this offseason, signing Joey Gallo to a one-year deal, which National could benefit the most from this Joey Gallo signing? I've got two guys that may surprise you.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as the show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, just make sure to check us out over on Twitter. Later on in today's show, Baseball America dropped their Nationals top 30 prospects. Who could it be? Who got snubbed? There is one guy in particular who I think really got snubbed. Probably should have been higher up on their list. I'll reveal who that is and why they should be up a little bit higher a little bit later on in today's show. Then, of course, we will be reacting to kind of their top 30. Really, what big changes really kind of transpired within Baseball America's top 30 prospects? Because, again, Baseball America, if you haven't already, you should probably subscribe to it if you're a diehard baseball fan, and I'm assuming you are if you're tuning in to Locked On Nationals here. And if you're an everydayer, you may have already subscribed to it. So we'll react to those lists, the top 30, and really just kind of the big movement of things. Plus, there are some new names up on there, and there is a lot of movement within the top 30. We'll highlight that in the second segment of today's show. But let's kind of get into the Joey Gallo signing and kind of the flip side of the coin here with who will benefit the most, because there is a big benefit signing Joey Gallo, but the big question is, who will it be? I've got two names for you, but before that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get. And so as we get into it, Joey Gallo, the signing there, number one, let's kind of just debrief from it. If you haven't tuned into yesterday's show, make sure to go check that out wherever you get your podcast. Just search Locked On Nationals, including over on YouTube. But Joey Gallo signed 1 year, $5 million deal, big lefty power bat, someone who's going to strike out so many times over the course of this season, but also in moments will come up clutch, in big situations, hit big home runs, hit long home runs, and kind of think of it as a diet Kyle Schwarber signing from back in 2021 when the Nationals took a one-year deal for Kyle Schwarber. It turned into a great deal for this team moving forward. And ultimately, they got a few prospects at the deadline, but ultimately, Kyle Schwarber hurt his hamstring that year. We all know what kind of happened and what transpired from that. But that is the kind of market that the Nationals are in, including this signing with Joey Gallo. But who will benefit the most? Because you saw a lot of Nationals players back in 2021 benefit a lot when it came to that Kyle Schwarber signing. Juan Soto, to name one. Trey Turner also was on a scorching hot start back in 2021. There are a lot of different Nationals who benefited from this. And I think in this scenario, there will also be two Washington Nationals players who will benefit in a big way. Let's start off with number one. I think CJ Abrams will be the biggest beneficial kind of movement here from this Joey Gallo signing. The reason why I say that is, sitting here today, January 25th, 2024, I look at Joey Gallo in this lineup, and it really is where, as far as this lineup can go, where is he going to fit? CJ Abrams, you know, at this moment in time is going to be the leadoff hitter going into this year. And if he's not, we got some issues to talk about. But I think at this moment, it's safe to say he's going to be the leadoff hitter going into 2024. I think Joey Gallo kind of fits in right behind CJ Abrams. I think Joey Gallo sitting here today again, I think that's where probably the two-hole is where he fits best. Just kind of considering what baseball is nowadays. Some people may say, well, if you're batting under 200, in which Joey Gallo has done since 2019, I believe, he hasn't batted above 200. If you're going to have your two-hitter in that hole, do you really want someone who's going to strike out way more times than they're going to be on base? Probably not. But hear me out for a second. That power combination, along with CJ Abrams' speed, I can't get past that factor here. And again, with this Nationals team, you're going to have to experiment in a lot of different ways. And I think with Joey Gallo, this is going to be a big science experiment. This is going to be one of those things where you are throwing together this science project the last second of this class. But when you do this with Joey Gallo, I think you're going to have to go all in. Joey Gallo, you can put him in the 2 spot. Give him all the reasons to benefit from this Nationals lineup. Give him all the reasons in the world to hit behind CJ Abrams. And have CJ Abrams be on base when someone like Joey Gallo will be up there as well. And also going at it, at this moment in time, are you going to be a little bit more afraid of CJ Abrams or Joey Gallo? Well, I think pitchers at this moment, with 22-year-old CJ Abrams going into 2024, I think you would probably be a little bit more lenient towards a Joey Gallo. You don't want to have him just kill your season. You don't want to have Joey Gallo hit a home run at any given moment in time, because that is what he could do. That is the type of damage that he's going to bring to this Nationals lineup. Hitting behind CJ Abrams, I think, number one, protects CJ. I think that's going to help him in a big way. When you get on into the game, when you're facing right-handed pitching, you have both those lefty bats back-to-back. Which one are you going to pitch against? Are you going to pitch against the youngish shortstop who's still kind of making his way up in the big leagues? Or are you going to do someone like Joey Gallo who could put a ball into the center field seats at any given moment? That is the thought process, I think, a lot when it comes to these pitchers going up against this younger Nats lineup. Now you add in Joey Gallo to the equation, and I think at this moment, while it may not work this way, it may not really seem like the best decision to make to have Joey Gallo bat in the second hole. I don't think it benefits Joey as much as the others here, but with CJ Abrams, one of the most important factors of this rebuild, I think it gives him a lot of protection. And also on the other side of the quarter here, I think you have Lane Thomas, who in the 3-hole, which at this moment in time, he could be in the 2-hole or the 3-hole. I think if you have someone like that also kind of padding Joey Gallo and CJ Abrams, he's going to benefit a lot as well. So Lane Thomas, he's not going to have the same protection maybe as CJ Abrams in this situation, because Lane Thomas, while he's been a better hitter over the course of the last year and a half than CJ Abrams, I think CJ Abrams will be the better hitter when the careers are all settled in, he's into his prime, and he's really fully developed. But still, Lane Thomas is also going to be a big benefactor from this Joey Gallo signing. And also, not even just these two players. I think Joey Gallo is going to benefit from this as well. Because if you believe in CJ Abrams the way that I believe, the way that I believe that you believe, if you believe in Lane Thomas and the way that he hit the ball last year, if he can continue that just a little bit on the same pace, then Joey Gallo may not have the hardest time in the world to bat above 200. He may not have the hardest time in the world to have 110 OPS plus going into 2024. Maybe, just maybe, we're thinking way too ahead of the game here. But sitting here today, in the middle of January, you're a month away from spring training. I think it makes the most sense to have Joey Gallo in that 2-hole. Number one, because it's going to probably help him the most as well. Get those RBIs up. Put this team in the best situation to hit Abrams in, to have Joey Gallo have guys in the bases, maybe hit that. All the scenarios that are going to happen that you guys know, I think Joey Gallo is going to benefit a lot from this, and not just Joey Gallo. It's going to be CJ Abrams and Lane Thomas. And you can even maybe flip-flop Joey Gallo and Lane Thomas. Imagine this for a second. If you were to go Joey Gallo batting third, then you have Lane Thomas and CJ Abrams, guys who are going to get on base, hopefully at a more efficient rate. And I do project them at this moment in time to get on base at a higher rate than they were in 2023. If you have those two guys on the base path, already guys who are some of the fastest players in all of baseball, Joey Gallo, who has one of the highest exit velocities in all of baseball, because again, let's highlight that for a quick second here. Gallo in 2023, he was in the top 90th percentile as far as exit velocity goes, barrel percentage, hard hit percentage, and as well as walk percentage goes. Again, limited situation, only appeared in about 110 games in 2023, still batted below 200, which I know a lot of people can't get past that. But if you look at his OPS plus, he was at 101. He was still a tick above average as far as MLB hitters go. Some people may say, well, it's because of the walks that he drew. Still, you're getting on base. That's all I really care about. But ultimately, his power is going to come when he does damage. And when you do damage, you need guys like Lane Thomas and CJ Abrams who are on base in front of you, or even just protecting yourself and as well as protecting them. I think this could kind of be a perfect marriage when it's all said and done. I'm not going out there and saying Joey Gallo is going to be back to his 2017, 2018 form. That's not the case. I don't think that'll happen. I think that is far gone. But what Joey Gallo could do, I think he could add 25, 30 home runs maybe if given the opportunity to do so, and also walk a lot and maybe get his on-base percentage back to where you want it to be. Because Joey Gallo, the guy knows how to hit. He does. Yes, he strikes out all the time. Yes, we all know that. Joey Gallo, if you're a baseball fan, you see the memes. You see what everyone does. They poke fun of him. We get it. It's fine. We understand that. But Joey Gallo, don't sleep on the kid just yet. I'm telling you, it could potentially turn around. I'm not saying it will, but it could. There is a chance. That is the hope of January 25th. And this is the wishful thinking season, by the way, if we're just being honest here. If you're a Nationals fan, this is the time where you wake up in the morning and you're like, maybe CJ Abrams can be an MVP candidate. Maybe, just maybe. I'm not saying that, but maybe you are. Maybe Lane Thomas can have an all-star campaign. Maybe Lane Thomas can be the right fielder of this team going forward. This is the time to start thinking wishfully, because when it's April rolls around, you don't know if we'll be able to say that anymore. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. But next, we got to talk about Baseball America and their updated top 30 Nationals prospects, because they've got some interesting ones. They've had some movement in there as well that have been highlighted by many Nationals beat reporters. And ultimately, one guy in particular that we're going to get to later on, I think should be a lot higher on these rankings. I'll discuss that and who that is after I tell you guys about our great friends over at FanDuel. And guys, the NFL regular season has wrapped up. Now we're on to the playoffs. And guys, when we get into the playoffs, I need to tell you guys about our good friends over at FanDuel, which is America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And guys, the app is so easy to use, and I want you to enjoy all the different ways of betting just like I do each and every Sunday. So you can do live same game parlays. You can find bets in the new Explore tab, and also make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays. And of course, if you want to just go rogue, do it yourself. You can do many different things on FanDuel, but when you go to FanDuel, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. Again, that is FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Baseball America has updated their Nationals top 30 prospect rankings. And of course, Baseball America is really kind of the marquee prospect write-up, in my opinion. MLB Pipeline, MLB.com, whichever one you want to call it, they both do a great job. There's Prospectus, who also do a great job. Fangraphs, great job. But I think Baseball America, they're probably the cream of the crop when it comes to baseball prospect rankings. So there was a lot of movement here. I'm not really going to go over the full top 30 list, but there are some interesting ones that I think should be pointed out. There's a lot of notable movements as far as this year's top 30 within the national system. You can highlight a lot of different things. Number one, who raised the most? Probably Dalen Lyle. He went from number 27 in 2023 all the way up to number 11 in 2024. Trey Lipscomb went from number 24 all the way to number 16 this year. Jacob Young went from unranked all the way to number 18. And of course, Brady House went from number 5 in the system to number 3 going into this year. Those are the big highlighted ones, in my opinion. But also, Andrew Golden kind of pointed this out in his tweet yesterday, and I think it was a very smart, just kind of put together way of kind of putting this national system into perspective here as far as the trades that you have made in the past, the draft picks that you've acquired in years past. And this is how really all things considered, from trades with Juan Soto and all the different moves that you've had with Jeimer Candelario, and as well as some international signing class guys as well. Number 1, Dylan Cruz in the system. That's what you expected. And then second round pick in 2023 as well. Johan Morales is up at number 5. Travis Sikora, third round pick, high school flamethrower, up to number 14. Andrew Pinckney, a middle round pick back in 2023. He is all the way up at number 19. And the two highest paid players from their international signing class this year, Victor Hurtado and Angel Feliz at number 12 for Hurtado and number 24 for Feliz. These are all interesting things, but in my opinion, the number one most intriguing one was Johan Morales, putting him all the way up at number 5. And again, before we kind of set the table here, this is still the ranking season. You're going to see a lot of different rankings. You see a lot of different opinions out there on why Johan Morales should be up there and why Johan Morales maybe shouldn't be all the way up at number 5. But I think here's the thing. Johan Morales, one thing's for sure is that this guy is going to be hitting at a big league clip and probably relatively soon. You saw the Nationals move him all the way up through the minor league system, getting to AA this year, in which he ultimately still hit the crap out of the baseball. Number one, that just shows you right then and there what the Nationals think of them. We kind of discussed this a little bit early on this offseason, but the Nationals, they showed their cards in a lot of different ways and how they feel about their prospects. The two most intriguing ones, and even three, if you want to count in another one, Dylan Cruz, Johan Morales, and Andrew Pinckney. Those guys flew through the system this year. And really, after being drafted, number one, I expected Dylan Cruz to fly through the system no matter what, so I'll set him to the side here. Johan Morales, the way that he hit, unequivocally the best Nationals hitter in the second half down in the minor leagues. Not even close. The numbers that he was putting up in Fredericksburg, and then in High, and then in AA, Harrisburg, better than anything that we have seen from anyone at any points throughout this season. Johan Morales is a name that you're going to have to watch moving forward. And everyone raises the question of, is he going to be a top third baseman? Because MLB.com and their latest updated top 10 third baseman list have Johan Morales as number 10 in all of minor league baseball. And of course, Brady House also made that list as well. But Johan Morales, you don't have to worry about where he's going to play right now. Because here's the thing, Brady House, you think he's a sure thing. You like the prospect of Brady House. I love it. I think he's going to be a great hitter. I think he could be a franchise cornerstone over at third base. You're just going to see his sign and his face plastered on Half Street. Johan Morales, you don't have to worry about where he's going to play at this moment in time. They're all on the same trajectory, and they probably should be up in the majors within the next year or so. They probably could be making their debut at some point this season. But Johan Morales, if he's at first base, cool. If he's in the outfield and left field, cool. Second base, whatever it is, you don't really have to figure out that domino just yet. I think the Nationals, you will probably see at some portions in spring training, you'll see Brady House in the game. You'll see Johan Morales at some points up in the big league team. I'll be intrigued to where they kind of settle that out. Are they going to DH Johan Morales? Are you going to put him over at first base and really with no reps at this moment? Because that is kind of where the big picture question is of it. But again, you don't have to tackle that until you get to that situation here. But also another kind of intriguing movement within this list was Dalen Lyle. Getting him all the way up to number 11 in the system from 27 last year going into 2023. Dalen Lyle, don't forget about him. Again, we've talked about all these flashy Nationals prospects. Dalen Lyle, he's not the flashiest name out there, but still a Kentucky Gatorade Player of the Year coming out of high school in that same draft class as Brady House, recovering from Tommy John surgery. And what he did last year, that is something that I think a lot of people and a lot of Nationals fans, a lot of Nationals front office members, they've noticed with Dalen Lyle. Number one, the exit velocity, it's up there. And again, he has married that combo between power and as well as speed, in which what kind of baseball is nowadays. That is the kind of prospect that you're looking for. And Dalen Lyle at this moment in time, he has shown that he's got that combination of power and speed that a lot of teams covet, that a lot of teams want to see within their system. And that is really where you'll see the most growth heading into 2024 and beyond. But those are the most intriguing kind of notes. And you may see there's one guy in particular that I really want to talk about that we may not have talked about all too much this offseason because, again, the Nationals, they've got a loaded farm system. But I need to tell you guys, there's two names, really. But I'm going to get to number one here first. I'll tell you guys who that is and why I think they got a little bit snubbed after this break. And now we get back into it as we are going to be answering who should be higher on these Nationals prospect rankings. Dalen Lyle. Right then, right now, let's do it. I think Dalen Lyle, again, today's game, in today's minor league system, in today's developing a prospect, you look around baseball, you look at the best prospects, you look at the guys coming out of every great farm system in baseball, you see one thing in particular outside of pitchers. They want to see that speed/power combo. They want to see that Jackson Trio kind of stuff, the new Ronald Acuna Jr., the Juan Soto's of the world, even though he doesn't have the speed, but you understand the kind of hitter, and the Juan Soto is different. Just set him aside for the second. You understand the point, though. Teams want that power speed combo. Dalen Lyle, now again, he's not the flashiest name out there. He's not out there who's someone like Jonathan Mayo is going to be writing about every single week, being like, look at what this guy is doing. Look at how many hits and how many stolen bases that he's married together down in the minor leagues, and look at the way that he's working his way up in the Nationals farm system. It's not necessarily about that. But what it is about, in my opinion, is the fact that the Nationals are starting to develop guys like this. In years past, this is where I've knocked Mike Rizzo the most. And again, it may be a little bit unfair to kind of tag Mike Rizzo in on this, but he does oversee the front office. Therefore, he's going to catch a little bit of the shrapnel here. You have not been able to develop prospects outside of the first round, really even first round picks, for quite some time. With this new system, in really a lot of different ways, this Nationals team is starting to develop guys at a little bit of a higher rate, in which we may not have really expected. You could kind of point it to guys like Eddie Longos, who have been now updated to director of scouting operations and will now lead the player development side of things. You can lead it to different things like Brad Ciolik as well. I think you're going to see a steady uptick in production as far as minor league prospects go, in which, by the way, this isn't something that where I'm going to applaud it, because of course it is a good/necessary thing. But with what the Nationals haven't necessarily done in years past is develop guys like this. So the exciting thing is this. Dalen Lyle, he's starting to look and feel like the real deal. 2024 is going to be a pretty big season for him. You're going to have to see the way he works through the system. Will he start up in AA Harrisburg? Will he start back down in Wilmington again? You'll just have to see. But ultimately, you're going to see a lot of different guys kind of fly through the system. And also looking at Elijah Green, getting this kind of new analytical-minded staff on this Nationals organization, seeing what they can do for a guy like Elijah Green, who's got all the talent in the world, but ultimately just struck out way too much down in the minor leagues last year. And that is really why he hasn't been able to get off the ground so far down in Fredericksburg. But ultimately, this Nationals team, this farm system, they're getting themselves into solid position in which they've kind of been missing out for quite some time. And ultimately, they've swung and missed on a lot of different high-end prospects going forward. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day. So we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. A little bit of a shorter episode this week as I've been dealing with the cold, this nice little January cold, because I'm sick and tired of not having baseball in my everyday life. So thank you all for sticking with us. If you heard a lot of different pauses, whatever it is, I apologize. Next week on Tuesday, we'll be back at it better than ever. Big week here. Locked On Nationals. If you missed the episodes in days past, make sure to check out the Joey Gallo episode yesterday. And of course, much, much more. If you want to go back, there are a lot of evergreen episodes that you will not want to miss out from this offseason. When you do that, just search Locked On Nationals on YouTube. And when you go to Locked On Nationals on YouTube, please hit that subscriber button. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one.